Hi, Ranger Sorella here at Red Top Mountain State Park. Today we're talking about animal ambassadors. Now, animal ambassadors are not pets. They are wild animals who have been impacted by humans. That means they've been affected by humans in such a way that it is not nice to re-release them into the wild. Our animal ambassadors now have safe enclosures and special care from our rangers. They also help our rangers to educate guests. Today I have King Henry, who is an eastern king snake. He just recently shed, so he actually still has a little bit of shed left on his chin. Can you see that there? We don't want to peel it off because that's not nice, but he will eventually scrape that last little bit off. The rest of it all came off a couple days ago. He is a beautiful eastern king snake, and one of the things I love about eastern king snakes is not only their gorgeous black and yellow or white pattern, but that they eat some of our local venomous snakes in addition to frogs and lizards and mice and stuff. So if you have any venomous snakes around, these cute little snakes will eat them for you. They are immune to the local snake venom, and they themselves are non-venomous. So they are friendly, they're not aggressive, and they help keep us a little bit safe too. So I'm going to see if I can convince Henry to unwind a little to show you his full length. Henry is a full-grown eastern king snake, and he is about 5.5 or 6 foot tall. A little bit over one ranger in height, you can see there. And he is about 16 years old. In the wild, eastern king snakes only live to be about 12, but Henry is lucky enough to have hotel living with us. He gets extra care and attention every day, so he is able to live to a ripe old age. Get another close-up of Henry, see some of his beautiful colors. You can see the back scales are different than their tummy scales. Their tummy scales are nice long scales, and the ones on their back are cute little diamond shapes. One last thing, we'll show you the American Sign Language sign for snake. You take 2 fingers, your first and your middle, hold them in a V, and you crook those fingers, so they look like teeth. Put them near your mouth, and you zigzag out, or you can do them in a spiral. Both of those are signs for snake. Did you know most snakes don't want to hurt you, and they will try to scare or fool you into leaving them alone. Many snakes will wiggle their tails to create a rustling in the underbrush, which mimics a rattlesnake's rattle. Other snakes, like eastern king snakes, can secrete a foul-smelling musk so that animals will leave them alone. Hognose snakes will flip over and loll their tongues out of their mouth to pretend to be dead, so that predators will think that they are spoiled food and leave them alone. This is Mr. T, the eastern box turtle. Mr. T has beautiful red eyes, and if we look at the plastron, that's the special name for this tummy shell, you can see it scoops in a little bit right here. That scoop in and those red eyes of the eastern box turtle are good indicators that this eastern box turtle is male. However, in 2018, Mr. T laid some eggs. That is the best indicator that she's actually a girl. Box turtles will lay eggs when they reach maturity. They'll lay them every 2 to 5 years once they are adults. So we know Mr. T has to be at least 10 years old, that's adulthood, and then probably closer to 12 to 15. So I also want to show you on the plastron, there's this hinge right here, which is why eastern box turtles get their name. It allows them to close up like a box. That little hinge, when they pull in their legs and their head, they use that hinge and some muscles to pull it up and close it, just like a mailbox. I wanted to put Mr. T in the grass today so you can watch her walk just a little. As you can see, she's actually pretty fast, especially when she wants to be. She has to be able to get away from predators. She wants to be in the shade, near a rock or under a tree, where she can stay hidden. They also love to eat worms. So we're going to show off another feature, which is these long claws on their feet. Very good posing, Mr. T. You can see these claws are excellent for grabbing into dirt and digging. Sometimes when we hold our turtles, people like to say they look like they're swimming or flying. But eastern box turtles are not swimming turtles. They're land turtles. They're just not used to being up in the air, and they want to get those feet back down on the ground where they can dig and walk. I'm going to put Mr. T down and show you one last sign before we go. If you put your hand like a fist with your thumb on top, and you add the other hand as a shell, and you nod that head, that's the American Sign Language for turtle. Turtle. Did you know eastern box turtles have a map in their head of the route that they travel every year? When people move a box turtle off of its path or map, it gets lost and often dies trying to find its way back. When you have a map, it's not like GPS. Your map can't tell you, if you're off of it, how to get back. Your map can only show you the parts that are on the map. So, if you have an eastern box turtle and you've moved it off of its map, it won't know how to get back on its route. So if you see a turtle on the road and it is safe for you to help it cross, always move the turtle in the direction that it is facing. Even if that doesn't seem like the best area for a turtle, I promise it'll be best for the turtle. And today we have Pumpkin, who is our corn snake. Corn snakes are also sometimes called red rat snakes. They have this beautiful pattern on their tummies. Looks kind of like that tricolor corn that you can find near autumn and Thanksgiving. Pumpkin is feeling a little wiggly this morning. We also have beautiful patterns all down the back with gorgeous bright coloring. And these snakes are often called corn snakes both for that color pattern and because they're, well, often found in cornfields. Not because they like to eat corn, but because they like to eat the critters that eat corn. So corn snakes like to go after mice and rats and little birds, and those all get in the corn to eat the corn, and so farmers really like seeing rat snakes in their corn because they know that way they have fewer critters eating their corn. Hey, Pumpkin. Very wiggly this morning. You can see Pumpkin is not as big as Henry. If you had a chance to see King Henry in our other video, our eastern king snake, you can see Pumpkin's not as big. Pumpkin's not as long. Oh my goodness, yeah. Doesn't really want to stretch out today. Let's see if I can help. Here we go. Pumpkin's not as long, and Pumpkin's definitely not as big around. Pumpkin is a fairly thin snake compared to our eastern king snake. And Pumpkin is probably about 10 years old, which is still a pretty good age for a king snake. That's definitely an adult. I said king snake. It's a good snake, good age for a king snake too, but this is our corn snake, isn't it? Whoops. So it's a good age for a corn snake or a red rat snake, and Pumpkin here, who is a corn snake, is definitely an adult. If you all remember, our sign for snake was those two crooked fingers. You can swirl them or zigzag. That's a nice way to say hello to our friends and not scare them too much. Did you know some snakes lay eggs, which is called oviparous, and other snakes have live birth, which is called viviparous. Many snakes like to burrow, but not having any hands or claws to dig with, most snakes will choose a pre-dug burrow for a home. This is Scooter. She's an eastern box turtle. You may remember that Mr. T is also an eastern box turtle, but these two turtles look a little different. If you see Scooter's eyes, they're not bright red. They're more of an amber color. And Scooter is also missing a front leg. This leg doesn't have any claws on it, although this one does. So Scooter was raised aquatically for a while. That means that someone found her and picked her up and decided to raise her in like a fish tank. with water like you would a water turtle, like our sliders that you see in the pet stores. But eastern box turtles are land turtles. So she did not grow well. This shell right here is not a nice smooth dome like Mr. T's is. It has some strange divots, and it's got some flatness to it instead of being a nice high dome. So all of this is because a turtle's shell is made of bone. Just like your spine, my spine's back here, and that's all bone. And if something happens to my spine, it stays happened. And in Mr. T's case, she had the wrong kind of, I'm sorry, this is not Mr. T, this is Scooter. In Scooter's case, she had the wrong kind of nutrition, and so her bones did not grow correctly. She was in the wrong environment. So she now has hotel living with us. We make sure to give her the right kind of food and the right environment. But what happened to those bones stays happened. Now she does still have a nice little hinge right here on her plastron, and that will close up when she is scared. But Scooter here is pretty fearless. She's not scared of a whole lot. And she gets around really, really well. So I'm going to put her back on the ground so you can watch her move for just a moment. I'm going to set her this way so you can see that hand that is missing doesn't inhibit her movement at all. There you go, Scooter. She is taking her time, but she's definitely not having any trouble over the ground. She's trying to find the next spot she wants to get to. Eastern box turtles don't like to be exposed. Oh, she thinks she may have found something interesting there. They like to eat worms and bugs that live in the ground. So she may well be noticing where a tasty snack might be living. But they don't like to be exposed out in the open where a hawk or an eagle might pick them up and try to eat them. So, since she's come to a standstill, I don't want her to be eaten either. So I'm going to pick her up and put her back in her enclosure. And we're going to say bye to Scooter for today. Do you remember the sign for turtle? Make one hand like a fist, and the other hand goes on top, and you nod the head. Did you know? In Georgia, it is illegal to own most animals native to Georgia. This law is to help protect our native species. You also should never release a pet into the wild. Releasing a pet can have many consequences, such as the pet might be unprepared for the wild and get hurt. Or it could be an invasive species which harms the environment around it. There are different ways that invasive species might harm an environment. They could eat all of the food and use up all of the homes of native species. They could also carry diseases into a new environment, which harm the native species. Today, we have Gandalf, the gray rat snake. Gandalf is a very opinionated snake. He's very strong and likes to go where he wants to go. So we do have to be a little careful, make sure we have control of him so he doesn't get up our sleeves, because he does like to go up sleeves, or up a tree. Rat snakes are well known for liking to climb trees. They can climb up to 40 or 50 feet, and sometimes this causes problems for bird rehabilitation places because they do eat eggs as part of their diet. And if they can climb 40 or 50 feet, sometimes they get after the eggs that we're trying to help protect. Hi, sweet Gandalf. So, as you can see, some of the patterning on the back is very similar to the pattern that we saw on Pumpkin, who is our red rat snake, also called a corn snake. The tummy pattern is pretty different though. It doesn't have that distinctive 3-color pattern, it's much more speckly. And gray rat snakes also have these beautiful expressive eyes. Let me get his head around for you to see. They have big round pupils, which to humans indicates sort of a cuteness and a wonder at the world. And I'm pretty sure Gandalf has a lot of wonder at the world. He likes exploring and has a lot of questions. Hey, sweet Gandalf. There we go. Gandalf is probably going to shed soon. We can see that his scales are a little duller than usual. He generally has a rainbow sheen, And he has, oh, a little bit peeling up right there. So he is starting to shed. And that can be uncomfortable for them. So we're not going to spend a long time with Gandalf today, but we did want you to be able to see him. And when they shed, usually they will start up near their mouth, and they will peel the scales back from their mouth and their head, and they will shed all the way back down to their tail. It's a really neat process to see, but we have had a hard time catching that on video because it does take a while. But we will go ahead and we will put Gandalf away because, like I said, when they're about to shed, that's not very comfortable for them. It's kind of like when you have a sunburn and you feel really sensitive. So we're going to say goodbye with our American Sign Language. For snake, we're going to put our fingers up and crook them. We're going to zigzag, or we're going to give it a swirl. Did you know reptiles, like snakes and turtles, are cold-blooded, or exothermic? This means they cannot make their own heat or regulate their temperature to cool down with sweating or panting. Reptiles get their body temperature from their environment. When they need to be warmer, they sun themselves on a rock, and if they need to be cooler, they seek shade. Temperature also aids in their digestion of meals. If you want to learn more and do more activities, you can find Georgia State Park's Junior Ranger books online. They have different sheets, like activities on reptiles and amphibians. You can find it all at georgiastateparks.org/juniorranger. You can also earn extra patches, many of which you can earn in your own backyard. There are 5 different patches to collect, and when you get all 5, they make up the state of Georgia.